Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, ghouls, and ghosts. I'm Drew.
And I'm Amy.
And welcome to the Séance Parlor. Welcome back to another episode of the Séance Parlor, folks. It is good to have you here. Tonight, we are going to be bringing to you a very spooky story, talking about a cursed object. I think probably what is supposedly the most haunted object in the world.
Yeah, if you can believe it, other than Annabelle.
If you can believe it. I don't know. We're going to dive into it. We're going to talk all about it. But as you all know, we got to get to regular business first. So first things first, thank you to everybody that has followed on socials, that has followed on Spotify. It is a ton of help to the show, and we appreciate you. We want to talk to all of you. We've been getting a couple of comments, but throw some comments on that Spotify. Throw some comments on the YouTube videos. We want to talk to you. We also want to know what you all want to hear about. We have a laundry list of places and things that we want to talk about. You can't see, but our whiteboard over here is totally covered in potential hauntings, strange occurrences, cryptid folklore, all kinds of things. But we want to hear from the people. Tell us what you're interested in, and we would love to dive into it.
Absolutely.
But to kick us off, I want to just talk about, as we do, what's going on in the world of the paranormal.
Yes, please let me know.
Yeah, absolutely. So, first things first, we have an ancient warrior prince tomb unearthed in Italy. A
Roman prince?
Very spooky. So it was a 2,500-year-old, I might butcher this, but I believe Pacini elite burial discovered in Italy.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I was doing some digging, and the Pacini elite were a powerful pre-Roman aristocratic class that thrived in central and eastern Italy along the Adriatic coast. They maintained extensive trade routes with the Greeks and Etruscans. It was like a warrior culture.
Yeah.
Yeah. So super cool. They found a preserved wooden chariot, weapons, ceremonial artifacts, and researchers are considering it one of the most significant Pacini discoveries.
Wow.
Yeah, definitely. As I said, they lived along the Adriatic coast. This was before Roman expansion. The elite burials that are this complete to what they found are extremely rare. So this was a massive discovery.
Probably a super important person.
Yeah, they're saying it has the potential to reshape our understanding of pre-Roman Europe.
I didn't even know there was pre-Romans. So, this is news to me, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So they said a nearby woman was buried with amber jewelry and ornate ceremonial items. They said every object appears to have been intentionally placed for the afterlife. And that is something that I really want to get into. Nearly every ancient civilization buried meaningful possessions. That seems to be like a common occurrence across the board when we talk about these places or burial in the afterlife, regardless of religious affiliation, cultural affiliation. That seems to be a constant. Were these things symbolic, or did they truly believe that they were things that the dead could use in a supposed afterlife?
Yeah.
And those are some of the questions that are fascinating when we look at burial rituals, afterlife, the passing on of a soul from our plane to the next.
Yeah.
And one of the questions that it really raises is, why is belief in an afterlife nearly universal across all these disconnected civilizations? I don't know. I think it's one of those fascinating mysteries that really overlooks geographic location, cultural affiliation, religious affiliation. I think it's one of these things that's almost like a universal experience.
Yeah, for sure. And kind of like what we were talking about last week with the Native American culture with the skinwalkers, the medicine men. It seemed to be a common practice after we we verified that not all humans were together on Pangea. So
Right.
so how do they have these common experiences? And we see this a lot, like the burial rituals, like with the ancient Egyptians.
Yeah.
That we know like a little bit more about. That they like to put in items that the person could use in the afterlife. I think as well as like things that were significant to the person, like they would bury their cats with them. I think whether they were alive at the time of the person's burial or not.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, that's super interesting.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I think one of the things that it makes you wonder is, what if archaeology preserves humanity's oldest evidence that we've always believed death isn't the end? And rather than, a religious belief or a cultural belief, there is starting to be hard evidence that says, going back as far as we can identify, I mean, pre-Roman Pacini elite soldiers buried with all of their possessions and belongings and prepared essentially for life in the beyond.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Just makes you go, we're not so different, you and I.
Yeah, I totally. Now I got an important question for you. If someone uncovered your grave 2,500 years from now, what 3 possessions are telling your story?
Oh, like a complete set of the Harry Potter books. Yeah. For sure.
Fact, probably this complete set of the Harry Potter books.
Yeah. 3 is tough.
You're like, my Harry Potter books are all I need.
Maybe my Jakey boy. So I'll go with
a stuffed Jake.
Yeah, on the same plane as the ancient Egyptians. They can bury my pet with me. So Harry Potter books, Jake.
Yeah.
What's one other thing?
I don't know. What do you got?
I mean, I think you can send me along with a good stash of the Mary Jane, and I'd be happy.
Yeah.
So I think those 3 things.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. Beautiful. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I think if somebody uncovered your grave 2,500 years and I was somehow like cryogenically preserved and they were like, almost like, can you identify the body by these objects? I'd be like, oh yeah, that's my wife. Yeah, that's her. That's her. You found her.
Yeah.
Yeah. So super fascinating. And our next topic that we're going to be talking about sort of ties right into that. So scientists are continuing to investigate near-death experiences. Hospital-based NDE research continues to expand. The debate remains between neurological explanations and consciousness theories. Common reports of near-death experiences include out-of-body experiences, bright lights, deceased relatives, and overwhelming like peace, satisfaction. Researchers are now studying near-death experiences proactively in hospitals.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating stuff. And it reestablishes the point that we were kind of making, that you have these science-based professionals that are hard facts and data. I want to see what we can put on paper to explain this phenomenon, but they're also saying that these like out-of-body experiences, these things that are apparently a universal experience for people that have near-death experiences, are worth investigating.
Yeah.
And they're taking a scientific approach, but the fact that they're entertaining it leads me to believe that like there is a universal opinion out there that something's happening. As you're preparing for the end, or almost like flirting with the end, I should say. So some interesting facts that I found: 10 to 20% of resuscitated patients report some form of near-death experiences. Researchers from different viewpoints agree the phenomenon deserves serious study. I think scientists and paranormal researchers are asking the same question. They just simply disagree on the answer. And even if it is neurological, even if it is a science-based explanation, why are the reports so similar worldwide? That's pretty fascinating stuff. Like I've read some of these cases that report like an empty blackness.
Yeah.
Like I think very like Elle in Stranger Things.
Yes.
Yeah, and like that's like a commonality across reports of near-death experience, which is like fascinating to me, because like it's like, two strangers meet. They both have a near-death experience. They start recanting, what their experience was like, and it's almost identical.
Yeah.
Which is just very strange, but like very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think one of like the big questions that I have is if consciousness can exist independently of the brain, it changes everything we really know or think about the afterlife. If it can't, then why are these experiences so alike? I think that's the question it leaves me with. I tend to believe either in the afterlife. I believe that your soul continues on, after this life is over. And I think a near-death experience is probably the closest you're going to get to being able to see through that veil.
Yeah.
And I'm just fascinated by the similarities in the reports that you end up seeing.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so I think like, the question for all of you out there is really like, are near-death experiences glimpses beyond death, or are they the brain's final response to, an overstimulation? Yeah, but that's where I'll leave us on near-death experience. Kind of some deep topics tonight. Yeah. It's interesting, and I think like it's going to go a little bit, to do with what we're going to be talking about as our actual feature, but kind of that thought of like an unrested soul. So the last thing that we have to talk about going on in the paranormal world, and this is much lighter and not so heavy, but paranormal convention season is booming. We are in the swing of things. Kind of kicked off earlier this year with Paracon at Penhurst, and continuing to spiral through. But currently, I think the next one that I saw is in Connecticut this weekend.
Okay.
There's another paranormal convention going on. So, I mean, the cool thing is that these conventions are continuing to draw thousands of attendees. And we've talked about the boom in paranormal tourism. We talk about like kind of the fascination with all these places. Look at Salem, Massachusetts, anywhere in October. We've been a couple of times that month. God bless you if you go. I tell you what, it is totally worth it. I think for myself, who's been there a couple of times in that season, I'll go off season.
Yeah.
I'm not one for huge crowds typically. But what I can say is like, Elton and Matt Rife bringing the Warren Museum, over to Salem. There's just so much happening in the world of paranormal culture, and a lot of folks are just like really getting sucked in. And I find that fascinating. A lot of the events that are going to be happening at these conventions, they cover ghosts, UFOs, folklore, haunted history, and cryptids. We should be going to these. Those are all the things that we can talk about. A lot of these now include overnight investigations. So you can be a part of like a group investigation and experience it, probably partnering up with some of the folks you either watch on YouTube or television. So really cool opportunities at some of these places. But a lot of these conventions now are selling out months in advance.
Wow.
Like, think about that. Like, I think, it used to be like, you like believe in ghosts, you weirdo. And, that I think the words are the same today, but the tone is different. It's like a camaraderie more than it is like an outcast society, which is very cool. But historians increasingly appear alongside investigators, which is great to see. I mean, that's what we're all about. We love taking like, what is the history of what we're talking about? What is the paranormal reports of what we're talking about? And like, how do those things fit together? And the community's just become more collaborative. I mean, people are doing things more together. I mean, we see that across the YouTube space all the time, which is awesome. You see some of your favorite creators, sharing their experiences, sharing their styles. Everybody has a different style when it comes to investigation, when it comes to storytelling around these things. So to see people blend and mix with each other is just really fascinating. And it just brings new light to old stories. And you always get a little more information the more that happens. But 20 years ago, a lot of people hid these interests. Today, entire hotels gather to discuss the unexplained. And I think like the key, if I look at like what connects like all these people that are into all of these like, niches in the paranormal and unexplained world, it's just curiosity among anything. It's a bunch of people that want to understand more for themselves when it comes to,
Mm-hmm.
visitors from another world, when it comes to visitors from the beyond, entities from the other side of the veil. Like,
Yeah.
I think people are just, they're curious. They want to know. They want to have an experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm right there with them.
Yeah.
I think
Me too.
that's really cool. So I think one of the biggest questions that's out there isn't whether ghosts exist or not. I think it's why are we so drawn to them?
Mm-hmm.
I think that curiosity piece is a big part of it. But what makes us say, hey, like, I'm not going to run from that spooky building. I want to go inside
Yeah.
and talk to the things that are in there.
Yeah. I think it's just like the not knowing the unknown.
Yeah.
And if it's, you can go somewhere like that and, maybe you can prove to yourself that you think that there might be like life beyond, then it gives you hope that like for yourself and like for your family members and like ones that have already passed, that there
Sure.
hopefully is something there and maybe you will meet someone again.
Yeah. Hey, that's really beautiful. Like, I think that's a great way to put it. Is I think for a lot of people, it answers a question that scares a lot of people, which is
Mm-hmm.
like, what happens when I'm gone?
Yeah.
And I think, maybe feeling some tangible proof when
Mm-hmm.
you're out there, is like, wow, like,
Yeah.
I don't know what it is that happens, but
Right.
it's something.
Yeah, and somewhere like that, I think it's a little like in a haunted location, maybe like a little bit easier to like get that proof. Because when you think of things like, if you're just trying to investigate like yourself or, trying to talk to like your grandma or your mom or like your dad, like I don't think that's necessarily always going to happen.
Right.
Like if you've ever watched like a Long Island Medium,
Love
like
Long Island Medium.
love Teresa,
Yeah, of
but
course.
she said like she can't read herself
Sure.
because it would be like too emotionally like painful
Yeah.
like
Okay.
for her to read herself and like connect with her own loved ones.
Yeah.
So I think definitely just like investigating is like an outlet for people to maybe like explore, that and just see if there's something after.
Yeah, definitely.
Hmm.
I think at the end of the day, I think it's answering questions that there just aren't solidified answers to.
Hmm.
And the only way to do that is to go out and have an experience for yourself.
Yeah.
And see what happens.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I mean that it's pretty amazing. Another question for you, where we're keeping you in the hot seat tonight. If you could attend one paranormal event anywhere in the world, which would it be?
One paranormal event.
I think I have mine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm fascinated by Penhurst, and I would have loved to have gone to, like, I think like if they do Paracon at Penhurst again, like I would seriously want to look into going.
Yeah.
I think like it's twofold. It's a location that has always fascinated me.
Hmm.
And asylums, as we talked about. I can't remember maybe a couple weeks ago, might have been Bell Witch, when we talked a little bit about like your top list for
Oh,
investigations.
yes, yes, yes.
And asylums are my number one.
Hmm.
I think maybe it goes a little bit back to as a kid breaking into the Poughkeepsie Asylum, allegedly again. Um,
Hmm.
And RIP Poughkeepsie Asylum. I just saw another video the other day. I follow like somebody from the Hudson Valley. It's like a Hudson Valley Explorer page,
Yeah.
and like they had a video of that thing just like ripping on
Oh,
fire.
yeah.
Like
There's like a little conspiracy behind that too.
yeah, of course there
Yeah.
is. Yeah. But I think asylums are fascinating. I think they tend to have like a very dark energy, which
Hmm.
tends to bring out a lot of activity.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it would be Penhurst for me.
Okay. Yeah. I would definitely be into that. I think like an opportunity to go see anything like that the Warrens have done would be like top for me. So
Big
yeah,
time.
I mean going to see like Annabelle in Salem or even just being able to have the opportunity to like go to the museum would definitely be top for me. Also, maybe going to, are you talking like event like like a Paracon or
Yeah, yeah,
like a Mothman festival
yeah,
or okay,
exactly. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So I think in terms of that, yeah, that would be like top for me.
totally. We'll have to keep our eye out.
Yeah.
Start planning for 2027.
Hmm.
Well, that is all I have today for our paranormal news segment. We talked about, some archaeological discoveries that might tell us more about the afterlife and preparing for
Hmm.
the beyond than we currently know already. We talked a little bit about what kind of research is happening with understanding, what happens before you pass. And then lastly, we really dove into kind of what's going on in these paranormal conventions and why are people so excited about them? Because they're awesome. I mean, is the
Hmm.
number one. So without further ado, I want to kick it over to you. I want you to tell the people what we're talking about because I am excited about this one and I can't wait to dive in.
All right, let's go. What if an ordinary cabinet could ruin your life? It sits quietly on a shelf, no chains, no glowing symbols, just an old wooden cabinet. But nearly everyone who has claimed to own it tells the same story: nightmares, shadow figures, illness, strange dreams, and claims of being cursed. And one terrifying question: are they experiencing a haunting or are they creating one? Tonight, we're opening one of the internet's most infamous paranormal objects, the Dybbuk Box.
Yes, ma'am. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
There is just so much information out there about Dybbuk's, about Dybbuk boxes,
Hmm.
and so much of it controversial, but is just like, not right,
Yeah.
and seems to be one of these things that we kind of see in the paranormal world of the internet is
Hmm.
spinning out a lot of content
Yeah.
around something that does have a very interesting and haunted past, but is not necessarily historically accurate or even factually accurate. Like when
Correct.
we look at the actual like
Hmm.
story and the claims of what was happening.
Yeah.
So I've been itching to get into this one because
Hmm.
if you look up Dybbuk Box on YouTube, you are gonna see, and I don't know what the number is, but a
Yeah.
million videos of people opening
Hmm.
waxed sealed
Yeah.
little wooden boxes
Hmm.
full of trinkets,
Yeah.
and all claiming that they have some kind
Hmm.
of evil entity attached to them.
Yeah. So I didn't even really know before like diving into this because of like what's just been put out there like online,
Yeah,
like for the modern day Dybbuk box. Like what typically is out there, which people might be familiar with, is um they say that it is like a box that someone has basically like contained a demon into.
correct.
Um, and when they do that, there's usually like objects in the box. So I think a lot of people are, even in this scenario, still a little bit like confused about what those are. Like, were they part of a ritual that like contained the demon to the box? Were they?
Yeah, I've seen all kinds of
Yeah.
different weird stuff. Like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes like they'll open up a Dybbuk box and it'll almost be like protection pieces. Like
Yeah.
things
Right.
like that. Like different like type of crystals, maybe like a
Mm-hmm.
bundle of sage.
Yeah.
But then like other times like you said like there's like I've seen little bones and like like
Right.
things like that that
So,
like seem much more like ritualistic
yeah.
type materials.
Yeah.
And personally, and again, controversial take, but I think it's because like a lot of what we're seeing is nonsense
Mm-hmm.
on there. But I think what I want to do here is like we really got to dive into
Mm-hmm.
the history
Yeah.
to really understand what we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about. So why don't you educate me and let's talk a little bit about like let's just go to the origin. What is a Dybbuk?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So before we can understand this and why one maybe ordinary wine cabinet has terrified so many people, we have to understand like where this legend came from,
Sure.
first of all. Because despite what movies and YouTube might be putting out into the world, a Dybbuk isn't just like another ghost or demon. Its origins stretch back centuries to Jewish folklore, where it is feared as something far more personal, and a spirit that doesn't haunt a place necessarily, but clings to the living.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one of the things, like, we see constantly in pop culture, that these Dybbuks are attached to physical items. And traditional Jewish folklore describes Dybbuks possessing people almost exclusively,
Correct.
not objects. So I think that's like the primary distinction that we'll see, and we'll continue to talk about that point throughout. But that was one of the more famous things that I saw.
Yeah. So what is a Dybbuk?
Yeah, tell me about it.
So a Dybbuk is a malicious wandering soul of a dead person that possesses or controls a living host.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So it comes from the Hebrew word for to cling or to adhere.
Yeah. Sounding like a demon.
Yeah. Definitely. So what they are is unsettled spirits that are believed to enter a person's body to seek resolution for past sins or unfinished business.
Okay.
The concept of a Dybbuk comes from the Kabbalistic idea of Gilgal. Please forgive me if I'm not pronouncing that correctly.
I think that might be right.
Okay. Or soul reincarnation. And this is the idea that if a soul leaves the physical world with unfinished business or having committed severe transgressions, it's denied eternal rest and may wander the earth.
Wow.
So for one of these souls to complete its spiritual rectification, the soul attaches or Dybbuks itself to a living person.
And therein lies our name.
And it's said that when a Dybbuk attaches itself to a living person, it splits their soul in two, speaks through the living person, and can also manifest an entire separate personality.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You know what that, reminded me of?
I know 100% what that reminded you of.
Yeah.
It's a Horcrux.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm kind of wondering if that's, where she got the idea from.
Maybe.
And it's believed that a Dybbuk will only leave its host body once its goal has been accomplished or it's been forced out by an exorcism.
Now, what is the goal of a Dybbuk? Is it similar to a demon, that the goal is to kill the host?
Not necessarily. I think it's to just resolve whatever it's unfinished.
Right, because you said that they're wandering souls looking to like you said, unfinished business.
Right. So it doesn't necessarily specify that a Dybbuk is evil.
Right.
Or demonic.
It's almost like a hitchhiker.
Right.
It's just it's coming along for a ride with you because it has things that it needs to do before it can pass on.
Yeah, but I mean, I think in the most typical sense of an unfinished business, would be more malicious or violent in nature.
It could be. I mean,
it could be.
Yeah, I don't know that I would leap to that circumstance because I think unfinished business, something is just unresolved.
Right, maybe you didn't tell someone something that you
I think
wanted
100%
to.
that is one of the first things that I think of is passing along a message, telling a story. I think a lot of the times we see when we look at asylums or prisons and things of that nature, getting their story out, having their life ended prematurely where they couldn't, tell their side of the story. And we look at old asylum culture. A lot of people were just kind of locked away there because societal things, hey, we this person is not a good representation of the family, lock them in an asylum. I mean, we're talking way back, but
no, but it's funny that you mentioned that too, because people back in the day, they did use a Dybbuk as an excuse for people that had
mental illness
as a reason as to why. I mean, obviously, back in the day, it wasn't even, and that's not even that long ago, that mental illness was not very understood.
Right. I think it's a very recent acknowledgement in the world of like modern medicine today.
Right.
But I think it was a very like taboo topic even through like the 90s and early 2000s. But I did read that they would kind of brush mental illness under the rug by just saying like, yeah, you got a Dybbuk attached to
Yeah.
you. We can fix you with an exorcism.
Right.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy. I think one of the cool things that I had come across in my research for the Dybbuk
Mm-hmm.
was, and I may butcher this name, but S. Ansky's 1914 play, The Dybbuk, uh, was known to be what introduced the legend of the Dybbuk
Mm-hmm.
to like wider audiences and Western audiences.
Okay.
Like I think it was because I don't believe that the Dybbuk was like an incredibly prevalent part of like historic Jewish folklore. I believe
Mm-hmm.
it became more regular post this play.
Okay.
It came more to light and was kind of used as that common like, oh, you just have a Dybbuk attached to you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty interesting. Like there wasn't like a ton of pre-recorded Dybbuk
Yeah.
stories in history until kind of post this bringing it into light.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And for Jewish exorcisms, they say that you need at least 10 men and a rabbi who would blow the shofar, which was a ram's horn.
Ooh,
Yeah. And it would shake the possessing souls loose and guide them to rectification.
wow.
Yeah.
10 men and a rabbi.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
like a huge group of people.
It is. Definitely different from like a Catholic
Exorcism.
exorcism.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, that's super interesting. It seems like it's like a very well-defined ritual.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I find it I find it very interesting that like all of the different religions or the ones that deal in possession and exorcism
Mm-hmm.
have kind of independently developed like their own possession traditions.
Mm-hmm.
Like they all kind of have like their own unique ways of
Yeah.
dealing with like a quote unquote possession.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And here's where the story kind of takes an unexpected turn. So traditionally, Dybbuks are said to possess people
Right.
and not objects. So how did one supposedly end up trapped inside an old wooden cabinet?
Yeah, that's a great question because I don't think that we've looked at many across any exorcism cases that we've looked at or discussed. I don't think we see any defined ritual when exorcising a spirit to contain it in a physical object.
Mm-hmm.
Like a Dybbuk, like so what I read about exorcisms on a Dybbuk specifically is like they are very directly sending it to its place of origination,
Mm-hmm.
which they would consider the beyond
Yeah.
or the other side.
Mm-hmm.
I believe the other side is just what we would consider like the spirit realm or the veil, and you're essentially sending that spirit back to the other side,
Mm-hmm.
and freeing the living soul of that possession
Mm-hmm.
or that clinging or
Yeah.
that Dybbuk. So I don't think we see any reports of an exorcism where they're containing a spirit in an object outside of like pop culture or movies. So it's pretty fascinating that like we have this mysterious object,
Yeah.
with a potentially dark and malevolent spirit attached to
Mm-hmm.
it.
Yeah. I kind of have my own theory, but
Okay.
I think we'll save that for later when
Okay.
we kind of find out the origin of our Dybbuk box here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm. All right, so where we're going to start here is Portland, Oregon in 2003.
Okay.
So we have Kevin Manis, and he was said to be an antique store owner.
Okay.
So what he would do is like go around to estate sales and garage sales and poke around and try and buy
Shopping for
stuff.
pieces.
Exactly.
Yeah, curating a store.
Yeah. So one day he was at an estate sale of a woman who was a Holocaust survivor. And they said she was like 103 when she died.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy.
Holy cow.
I know. And among other things, he purchases a wine cabinet box from this estate sale.
Okay.
So while he was there, The woman that had the box said that this had been in the family like as long as anyone could remember. I believe she was a granddaughter of the woman that died.
Okay.
So as long as, you know, like her mom or dad, like her aunts and uncles.
The 103-year-old woman was the granddaughter?
No. The woman at the estate sale was the granddaughter of the 103-year-old woman.
Okay, I was going to say, yeah, yes. That's insane.
Mm-hmm. And she even said that her grandmother warned her to never open the box and warned, like, her, you know, her children, her grandchildren, like, everyone. She was always like, you never open this box.
Whoa.
Yeah. After kind of, like, hearing the long history of, like, just the fact that, you know, not about like don't open the box, but just the fact that it had been in the family for as long as, you know, anyone could remember.
Kevin was salivating.
Yes, yeah. Like her, not even like as long as like this woman's, you know, her parents, as long as they could remember, like this box has been in the family. So he was kind of like, well, if you want to keep it, like I won't buy it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, kind of like after hearing this long history, he's like, maybe they don't like want to part with this.
Sure.
Like I'm willing to like give it back to you.
And was she like, take it?
Yeah. She was like, nope, you bought it, take it.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Yep. So he didn't necessarily think anything of it, and he kind of thought that maybe that was just a little bit of like part of her grieving process was
right, just trying to get rid of like you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So she refused to take it back. But before he left, again, she warned him to not open the box under any circumstances.
Yeah, I'm not buying it if that's part of the deal. Mm-hmm. I don't want to know why I'm not supposed to open it. I just not interested anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, no thank you.
Yeah. But he takes it back and he purchased a number of other items from the estate sale. So he takes everything back to his store.
It's so classic. Like estate sales often are the birthplace of like haunted objects.
Yeah.
Or like these like haunted legends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it just seems to be you want to get your hands on a haunted object. Are you curating a haunted museum? Hit the estate sales because your odds of walking away with some kind of haunted object is high. I always tell you, you're always like, oh, there's an estate sale, or guess who's putting stuff out at the end of the road. Don't take any of it. Don't
you
bring
never
any.
know.
Don't bring any of that into our house.
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
Yep. That's very true. But yeah, so Kevin's plan for this like wine cabinet was he thought it would be a great gift for his mom for her birthday. Yeah. So he wasn't necessarily like planning to sell it at the store, but he was like, I'm gonna take it back. I'm gonna like refinish it, fix it up a little bit. It'll be a perfect gift for my mom.
Even
for
after
her birthday.
The foreboding message to like never open it, he was still gonna give this to his mother.
Correct.
Kevin. Kevin.
Come on, Kevin.
Yeah.
So eventually he ends up opening the box, of course, because how can you not when someone just tells you not to do something?
Yeah. Because you just don't. You just resist the urge.
Doesn't work.
Yeah, I guess not.
And what he found in there was a statue with the word shalom carved on it.
Okay.
2 separate locks of hair.
Oh, no, Kevin. Close the box.
A candlestick holder.
Yeah.
Some dried rosebuds.
Yeah.
And some kind of like, I think like gold, like chalice or like goblet type of thing. Yeah, so that's kind of what he found in there.
Yeah, the hair would have been enough for me to throw the box in the garbage.
Yeah, yeah. So he keeps the box in the basement at his store.
Okay.
While he's going to refinish it for his mom. One day he's out and he gets a frantic call from one of his employees.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So she's like, it's like someone's trashing the store. You know, there's screaming coming, like...
Screaming coming from the box?
From, like, the basement. There's otherworldly screams is, like, one of the claims.
What does that mean?
So, I think when Kevin gets this phone call, he's not, like, thinking that it's something supernatural. I think he's thinking that there's literally a person in there that came in and is just, like, destroying things.
Oh, boy.
And, like, his employee is scared.
Yeah.
And he's just like, get out of the store.
Okay.
And I guess she was like, I can't. Like, I'm trapped in here. Like, the doors were locked.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
no.
he is rushing back to the store. When he gets back, he goes into the basement, and he walks in and gets hit with this wall of like the scent of like jasmine flowers.
Okay.
A lot of people describe it as like jasmine flowers or like cat pee like
Gross.
smell. So I'm wondering if that can like
Yeah,
the
you know,
scent
like you
can
get those like
skew a little
early,
like ammonia.
yeah, those like early spring buds that
Yeah.
can come out and they kind of smell like ammonia.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of what it is. So like some people describe it as like jasmine, some people just say like cat pee. Like
Gross.
the box stinks like cat pee.
And when he came back in the store, like she said, like it sounded like someone was trashing it. She heard like screaming. Like when he gets there, is any of that like happening? Did he report any of that?
So like not like actively happening.
So he
but
gets there and all
gets
is
there.
calm.
Yeah.
Except for a wall of like cat pee jasmine
right, but
flowers
he
smell.
also sees like in the basement, like all the lights are shattered.
Shattered?
Yeah, like the light bulbs shattered.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And was there any evidence of like a break-in or like people in the
I
store?
don't think so.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Kevin.
Yeah. So needless to
And
say,
I'm going to continue to ask this question. Is Kevin still thinking about giving the box to his mother?
Oh, he does.
Yeah.
But this
Of course he does.
employee, yeah, unlike our Elizabeth at the Stanley Hotel, she does not come back to work.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you.
She is not
Get yourself on
dedicated.
out of
yeah,
there.
she
No.
gets the F out of there.
Yeah,
So
Good.
yeah, so like I said, Kevin does still decide that he is gonna give the box to his mom for her birthday.
Oh,
So
boy.
one day she comes by the shop, they're gonna go out to lunch together.
Mhm.
And he like shows her the box. And I guess he like walks away to like take a phone call or like do something else.
Sure.
Supposedly when he comes back into the room, his mom is just sitting there and crying, but she's not like responding to him when he's trying to like talk to her, and like she won't speak and she won't get out of the chair.
Oh, no.
So eventually he ends up taking her to the hospital, and come to find out she suffered a stroke.
What?
Yeah. So yeah, she suffers a stroke. While she's recovering, if you don't know a stroke, a lot of times you lose like your speech.
Sure.
So when she was trying, like in the beginning, when she was still like in recovery, a lot of like the alternative communications you can use, it sounds a little bit like a Ouija board, but it sounds like she was using something to just like be able to spell out words.
Oh, just like to
yeah,
communicate
so you
with
could-
Kevin or like other
Right.
people. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
So you know what she was like trying to say.
Yeah.
So one day Kevin went to visit her, and she was spelling out on the board, "No gift." And at first Kevin thought she might have been confused just because like of the stroke. He was like, "No, I gave you your gift."
And she's like, yeah, I'm well aware of that.
Right. So he thinks maybe she's just like confused and doesn't remember, and that
Your
I
weird
gave her
box
this
almost
gift.
killed me, Kevin.
Yes. And what she spells out after this is hate gift.
What? What?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So after this, Kevin tries getting rid of the box however he could. And you know what you
First
do.
rational thought Kevin's had is maybe don't keep the crazy haunted box.
But also,
Or give
like,
it to your mother.
what's the first thing you do when you're trying to get rid of shit you don't want?
Facebook Marketplace.
No, you try and pawn it off on your family members. So that's what Kevin does.
He gave it to another family member?
He's trying to give it to like all these family members to try and get rid of this box.
Oh no, who's on the bottom of the totem
All right,
pole? Who's he
so-
kicking the box to?
So we get his sister. So he gives the box to his sister. And after, let's see. So she returns the box after about a week, saying that the doors in the box were like opening and closing by themselves.
No way. Get that thing out of my house.
He then tries to give it to his brother, who returned the box
Do
because...
Kevin's siblings hate him? Like they must.
I know.
Like, do you want this crazy box that gave our mom a stroke?
Right.
No, thanks.
Sure. No. His brother returns it because his wife said it smells like cat pee.
Yeah, fair.
Like, get it out of this house.
That's fair.
He even tried to sell it at his shop at one point, and he did, to like an elderly couple, but they returned
Stop
it.
giving the box to old people,
Yeah.
Kevin.
They returned it after a couple of days and didn't even like bring it back into the shop. They left it outside of like the shop door with a note on it that just said, "This has a bad darkness."
What? This is a movie.
Yeah. And then Kevin's still at it. So I don't know if he's trying to like break up with his girlfriend or what, but he decides to give it to like his girlfriend at the time.
Stop.
And she brings it back and it's just like, get rid of this, please.
That's insane.
Yeah. And since he couldn't find anyone to keep the box, he decides to bring it home. So
Kevin.
smart.
Kevin is struggling in the brains department.
Yeah, like at least keep it in your shop.
Like, I'm sorry, Kevin. I'm not here to be a hater. But like the string of bad decisions you've been making is
yeah,
unbelievable.
yeah. So
It's like you've never watched a horror movie in your life.
Yeah, exactly. So Kevin brings it home and he starts experiencing things right away.
Of course.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
he's seeing shadow figures. He's having vivid dreams. So in his dreams, it's like a recurring nightmare,
Of
basically.
course. Yeah.
So in this dream, he's walking with one of his friends. He looks at his friend and he sees his eyes start to like shift. And then the friend
Like shift like
not him anymore.
ugh,
Yeah.
That sucks. I hate that.
So then the friend turns into a demonic old lady and starts to beat him. And he will wake up covered in bruises.
What?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
First thing I thought of is you remember that movie The Visit?
Mm-hmm.
And that it's like the old lady's like crawling around, like she's like crawling on the walls and
Yeah.
she's like under the porch. First thing I thought of when you said
So clearly Kevin's siblings didn't hate him too much because one night they all like slept over at his house. Sounds like maybe they're having some kind of like dinner party, probably like drinking a little bit.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
spend the night. Sounds like a good time. But in the morning when they all woke up, they all said they had the same exact dream, and it was the same dream that Kevin was having about the old
Whoa.
woman. Yeah. So they all experienced that. So
that's crazy.
yeah. Eventually Kevin decided to move the box like out of his house, but he moved it into his shed in his yard. And he was hoping that this would lessen the effects that, you know, and the experiences that they were having. But one night the smoke alarm in the shed started going off. And there was no smoke or any signs of a fire that would have set off the alarm.
I came across something pretty interesting in my research. Was this thing called, I believe it's called the nocebo effect. It's NOCEBO, but essentially it's like expectation or information can almost like manifest a shared experience.
Okay.
So the idea would be if Kevin kind of maybe like pulled his brother aside or pulled his sister aside, or even like at the dinner party was just like, hey, I just want to talk to you guys about like some stuff that's going on. And he talked about that like dream at all. There is like a theory that says like that potentially could have planted the seed that their subconscious mind when asleep would like essentially like fixate on the idea of his dream and cause them to like have the similar experience.
Yeah, especially if maybe they're like freaked out about it.
Right.
Like, that's weird. And,
Yeah.
you know, they're kind of like thinking about it all night. And then, yeah, I can see how that could happen for sure.
Yeah. So I don't know that that's necessarily like what I subscribe to, but like one of the things that like we like to do is like see like is there any kind of like real world explanation for some of these things that are going on so that we can really just like look at it from all angles.
Right. Yeah, that would be information that you would want to know for sure if you were trying to debunk.
Yeah.
And also that same jasmine cat pee smell.
They're all
was in the
smelling it
shed.
again?
Was in the shed.
Was in the shed where you had the box out there. So is he starting to correlate that at all? I mean, maybe now that he's having some weird experiences
Yeah.
and he's like moved the box out, but like, I don't know. Kevin's like almost like willful ignorance to accept that there's anything weird
Mm-hmm.
going on with the box, like at least up until this point
Yeah.
has been. I mean, I guess moving it out to the shed might have been like the first acknowledgement that
Yeah,
like,
that there's something.
yeah, something's going on,
Right.
something strange is up with this thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, at this point, he's tried almost everything to get rid of it. He's tried giving it to family members, selling it, even putting it out into the shed. But according to him, the box always found its way back.
Yeah. And I do think that that is important to note, like, is just like he tried his hardest to get rid of it before selling it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, again, we kind of talked about like, you know, his almost like willful ignorance to acknowledge that there's anything going on, but there was something there that said like, I just want rid of this thing. I don't
Mm-hmm.
necessarily like care if I, you know, if I come out whole, you know, from my initial investment in it.
Right.
It's just like, I just want it gone.
Right.
Now he didn't try to get it far from his own circle. Like it seems like, oh, except for like selling it the one time at the shop to that elderly couple, it's like he really just kept giving it to people he was close to.
Right. So it's kind of like, I mean, no wonder it's coming back to you. It's like the first thing that someone's gonna do, like if you give them something, is like if they don't want it anymore, they're gonna be like, "Hey, you want this back?"
Yeah.
Or like,
Doesn't sound like they were
"Take this
asking if you
back."
want. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It does not sound like they
I
were
mean,
asking if you
if
wanted
that
it
was like
back.
an ordinary piece of furniture,
Yeah.
someone might be like, "Hey, I don't want this anymore. Do you want it back, or do you care if I do whatever with it?"
Yeah, I couldn't imagine the conversation that happened in his brother's house where his brother's wife was just like, "Did he just like to say his cats like pee all over this thing, or like?" And then he just gave
Was
it to
this their
us.
litter box?
Yeah,
Like, what is
in the
happening?
world,
Yeah.
Kevin? Crazy,
But
but he's got some weird stuff going on.
oh yeah.
Yeah,
And eventually, because he can't get rid of it, you know, to people that he knows or sell it at his shop, he decides that there's only one option left, and that would be to sell it to a stranger on the internet,
yeah,
as
absolutely,
one does.
of course.
Yeah.
And what method does Kevin use to do so?
So Kevin lists this box for sale on eBay.
Ah, I mean, it is 2003.
It is.
So,
Correct.
yeah.
Yep.
Facebook Marketplace wasn't at the height that it is now.
No, I don't know about Craigslist either.
Craigslist would, like, if there's any place to sell a weird haunted box, Craigslist is the premier destination to do
Yeah,
so.
for sure. Yeah, so he decides to sell the box on eBay. And when he puts the box up for sale, he's not hiding anything. He puts an extremely detailed retelling of all of the experiences that he's had
Yeah.
on this eBay post. So he was, you know, he wants to get rid of it, but he's not trying to trick anybody into buying it.
Wow.
He's laying it all out
What
there.
made Kevin turn over a new leaf after he tried to trick a bunch of people into taking it?
Yeah.
He essentially gave the most cursed object in the world to everyone in his family, and when that didn't work out, he was like, maybe I'll just be transparent about what's going on with it, sell
You
it to a
never
stranger
know.
online.
I mean, there's weirdos out there all over the place.
Kevin,
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about you.
Yeah. But he lists the box and eventually he does sell it. He doesn't have a price listed, but he sold it for $140. I mean, we don't know what he purchased it for originally,
Yeah.
so who knows if that's, you know, in the hole or not. I'm almost having a feeling it probably is, but
In the world of like collecting paranormal and haunted objects, I feel like that's a steal.
yeah. That's 2003 though, so who knows.
Yeah, maybe it wasn't at the height that it is today, so could have been a fair price for it. But you would think like $140 for like a nice wood wine cabinet seems pretty cheap. And I want to point out something here that I kind of thought about when we looked at the course of the legend of the Dybbuk Box.
Sure.
And if he never lists this thing on for sale on eBay, we're like not even considering like who it goes to and what happens with it afterwards, but it was always up until this point like an oral history that was passed down. Like when he bought it, he got the history of it from the granddaughter. You know, she kind of told him like just the strange foreboding message of like, don't open the box, but didn't give any context. And then he gives it to his mom. His mom has a stroke. He gives it to a bunch of different people in the family. They kind of just kick it back to him. But like, there's not really like anything happening right now that's solidifying this as like a cursed object until Kevin puts that eBay listing up and types out our first legitimate history of occurrences he's directly correlating to the box. Now, I don't know if he's specifically saying in the eBay post that the box did these things, or since the box, like just as a disclaimer, since the box was introduced in my life, here's all the strange things that have happened. And all I'm saying is if you buy it, buyer beware. This is just things that are going on.
Yeah.
But you know, when I was thinking about this, I was like, this is really like the stem of the legend.
Yeah. No, I mean, you can look it up. I looked up like what his original like eBay posting said. And I mean, he starts with everything back to like going to the estate sale.
Yeah. Yeah, he gives a full history.
Yeah, he's not hiding anything.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. That would be correct.
Yeah, our friend Kevin didn't start off on the best foot.
Yeah. So so who buys this box? None other than a college student named Yosef Nitsky.
Now, that makes me ask the question is Yosef really strapped for cash and just like is looking to furnish his apartment, or is he just like, wouldn't it be funny to bring home a very haunted object to all my roommates? Like, what is the end? Like, why is he buying this thing?
I mean, having known a number of college boys in my life, I feel like, look at this haunted box. Like,
offense taken.
There's no way that this is real. Like,
offense taken. Now,
sorry.
Now, I'm not saying we wouldn't have done it, but I am saying offense taken.
So, Yosef buys the box, and he immediately starts experiencing activity. So, he's experiencing like electronic malfunctions. He has to replace his computer, which super big deal for a college student
in
like,
2003 too. Like,
yeah, like how expensive
cheap.
those are. Yeah, and that's kind of like a, you know, I feel like a big thing you get for yourself.
Yeah,
like when you're going to college or gifted to you by a parent or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
And both Yosef and his roommates, they all had trouble sleeping since he brought the box home.
Yep.
One morning they even woke up to a bunch of bugs crawling around their house, and like a bunch of them were on the box itself.
Get rid of it.
Yeah.
Get rid of it.
Ugh.
I also read that they had like the bruising similar to Kevin did. Now, I did not see anything that said that they were having that same shared dream that Kevin experienced, but I did hear reports of them seeing shadow figures as well, and then also the bruising all over their body kind of inexplicably.
Yeah, and smelling the smell.
Yeah. Cat pee follows this box wherever we go.
I guess so.
Dybbuk cat?
Maybe. I mean, sometimes wood can be weird. Like, cat pees on it once, it might, the right humidity might permeate that.
That's very true. I wonder if, like, there's any correlation of, like, jasmine flower scent to a Dybbuk, like the way, like, a sulfuric smell is correlated to a demon.
I don't know. Yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But needless to say, Yosef at first did not take the box seriously or like any of these experiences. One time, even when they were having like a party at their apartment, he grabbed this random girl's arm and stuck it into the box because he thought that was funny.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane. Talk about like non-consensual activity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, oh, no way.
And like, you really got to think, like, some people just like, I mean, like, we're people that find the paranormal fascinating, and I'm still gonna be like, don't put me anywhere
No,
near
but
that
I'm
box. Let
also
me
like
choose.
that person that's gonna be like, I like don't fuck with that around me
Yeah,
because like I don't want to suffer the
yeah,
consequences.
but I think the point that I'm making
Mm-hmm.
is that like some people are very like religiously adverse to the idea of playing around
Right.
with that at all. So you just don't know who you're dealing with. That could be
Right.
like deeply traumatizing to somebody. I just
Mm-hmm.
like bad look for Yosef.
Yeah, for
Bad look for
sure.
Yosef.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a bad thing to do. But after this incident, Yosef himself starts seeing the shadow figures. He even starts losing his hair and starts to become like super reclusive. And after
Losing your hair in college is a tough look.
yeah,
Yeah. That's brutal for Yosef. That's what you get for non-consensual demon activity
well,
or Dybbuk
right,
activity,
yeah.
more
I mean,
specifically.
yeah, that's what happens. But after about 8 months, Yosef puts the box back up for sale on eBay.
He made it 8 months with those things going on.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's tough.
Yeah. And I mean, by now, the story's kind of starting to develop a pattern. We have a different owner and a different home, but a lot of the same unsettling claims.
Right. The experience seems to be pretty universal to the to each owner of the box. Like, it doesn't
Hmm.
seem like it's necessarily like a correlation of like how does it affect like you or how does it appear to you? It's like everybody is experiencing the same
Hmm.
exact effects of having the box in their
Right.
home.
Yeah. Um, and eventually the cabinet catches the attention of someone who wasn't necessarily looking for a ghost story.
Huh.
They were looking for answers.
Strange.
Yeah. So actually, when Yosef had the box, he was blogging his whole like experience with having it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
I would love to get my hands on that blog.
right? So he was blogging about that, and he did have a dedicated reader of his blog named Jason Haxton. He happened to be the director of a medical museum, and actually one of Yosef's roommates worked there
Oh, no
with him.
way.
Yeah, so this wasn't like totally random
Yeah.
stranger,
Small world.
yeah, like friend of a friend type of thing. So after hearing the stories and reading the blog, Jason really wanted to buy the box because he wanted to study it. Because he thought there might be something like scientific going on with it that might explain like what the experiences were that were happening.
Sure. So
Yeah,
he's taken like a full scientific approach to just
correct.
like
I mean,
studying the box.
right.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So he buys the box on eBay for $280.
Wow.
Yeah.
This box is just like a net gain for everybody
Right? Like
involved.
Yosef, yeah,
Box flippers, haunted box
right.
flippers.
Double his money.
Yeah.
So, he got back what he paid for it. Um,
Except minus recoveries from all the emotional trauma.
yeah. And maybe his hair, we don't know.
Yeah. What was the cost of like hair plugs in 2003?
Ooh, yikes. I feel like a lot.
More than $240.
Hmm.
Sure.
Yeah. So when Jason receives the box, he brings it to the museum where he works. And immediately, again, things start to happen there.
Sure. Cat pee smell.
Yeah,
Yep.
definitely. Computers start malfunctioning, but this results in them losing a lot of like data and research that
Oh,
they had been working on. I mean, they work at a museum.
yeah.
Like, yeah,
No,
he's
that's
not
awful.
just right. Not just necessarily like a curator. I think he's,
Like
like
a
doing
researcher.
research.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow. Yeah, that's no good.
Yeah. So they lost a lot of that. And one of the employees of the museum, their grandparent suddenly died when there was seemingly nothing wrong with them.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you actually
Yeah,
correlate
it's
that?
like a
Yeah.
toss up, if depending on how old they were and what it was that they died,
Right. I hate to
it's
sound cold-hearted, but like
not
people do pass
necessarily a
away
coincidence.
unexpectedly. Yeah, yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
And we don't have any other related history of like the box like I mean, it's doing some
Yeah. I mean,
pretty unsavory things to people as far as
yeah.
like it seems like there's some physical contact, some horrific dreams, but
Yeah, I
we don't
mean,
have anything like that.
yeah, Kevin's mom suffered a stroke, which is probably the most,
Right.
similar thing so
But
far.
could the stroke have been like if the box presented itself in a way that was just like overwhelming for Kevin's mother, could the stroke have just been like a natural
Mm,
reaction to like overwhelming fear?
yeah, not sure.
Because people can just have a stroke.
Yeah, but I think it's like a blood clot in your brain. I could be wrong about that. I'm not a doctor, but
Yeah, let's before we
yeah.
speculate on that, let's
Mm-hmm.
just okay, so a stroke is a medical emergency that occurs when blood flow to the brain is interrupted, causing brain cells to die. It happens either when a blood vessel carrying blood to the brain is blocked by a clot, yeah, or when a blood vessel bursts. Intense fear does not directly cause a stroke on its own. However, extreme emotional stress and panic trigger the release of hormones like adrenaline. This can cause temporary sharp spikes in blood pressure and heart rate, which increases the risk of a stroke in people with pre-existing cardiovascular
I was gonna say
conditions.
probably someone that has like the right pre-existing conditions,
Yeah, so
like
I
in
would
the right
say
stressor circumstance.
yeah, so I would say let's for the sake of saying we don't know enough about Kevin's mom or her condition to say that like
Yeah.
probably not a fear-induced stroke, which again leads to
Not out of the realm of possibilities for sure,
not out
but
of the realm of possibilities, but we don't know enough to say that that was like a
correct.
likely reason. So all the more concerning that this happens to her because
Hmm.
we don't know that there was any.
Yeah.
Now I do know that like a stroke can really just like happen to anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, um, yeah, it could have been coincidental timing,
Right.
but outside of her event, we
Hmm.
don't really have any like malicious history
Right.
as far as like deaths or like
Hmm.
anything like that violent.
Yeah.
So the employee's grandparent, like while that is terrible, can't really draw a direct connection
Yeah.
to the box.
Right. The timing for sure suspicious,
Yeah,
but yeah,
coincidental.
we can't say for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But the employees at the museum were begging Jason to get rid of this box. But he wasn't like totally bought in that it was haunted.
Sure.
But he decides to
And it
bring it
sound
home kind of to appease everybody else. He's not really believing it, so he's like, all right, like I'll bring it home,
yeah, it sounds like he's a
whatever.
pretty heavy skeptic.
Yeah. Right. I think that's kind of like the approach he's taking.
Mm-hmm.
He's super skeptic. He's fascinated by this box, by this story that he probably like stumbled upon the blog because it was like a friend of a friend type of
Right, he's
thing.
probably
Yeah.
at this point like he's seen the blog, he's seen the claims.
Mm-hmm.
He probably got Kevin's story from
Yep.
Yosef, like
Yep.
either through the blog or just like at the time of like them
Mm-hmm.
negotiating the actual sale of it. So it seems like from what we know about Jason from the research that he's probably taking more of
Mm-hmm.
like I'm hell bent on disproving
Right. He's
like
probably like,
this.
there's no way.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, he brings it home. And of course, once he brings the box home, his family immediately starts experiencing activity.
Shocker.
Yeah. So one night, Jason and his son were watching TV together. And his son says that he like sees something out of the corner of his eye. And when Jason turns to look, he sees a large black mass standing behind his son.
Ugh. Ugh,
Yeah.
no way. Well, you know what? Honestly, that's what you get for bringing haunted objects into your house.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Yeah.
don't do it.
I know. And eventually he starts having the same dream about the haunted woman and his friend. And he would wake up with welts all over his body.
We didn't ever get a clear report from Yosef if him and his friends were having that recurring dream. We
Mm-hmm.
do know that they were having difficulty sleeping,
Yeah.
and we do know that they were waking up with the mysterious welts on their body. So it does lead to believe that
Right, this could have been
likely would have
from.
been from that.
Yeah.
But now we do have Jason corroborating
Mhm.
that he is sharing that exact same shared dream, which that
Correct.
is horrifying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Even another like weird event that happened. His wife ended up getting poison ivy, and it was so bad that her skin started bleeding.
Whoa.
Yeah. So that was just like another kind of like weird coincidental report.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't know, did you scratch it so bad it started
Right.
bleeding? Was it just bleeding
Did you get poison
because,
ivy
like,
just from literally anything else?
right, like I think, I think some people have a worse reaction to poison ivy than others, so
Well, totally, because like
yeah,
you have to be allergic to it.
correct.
Like you could, if you're not allergic to poison ivy, you brush up against it, like you're not gonna
Right.
have any reaction at all.
Yeah, and I think
So
it's
like,
one of those things that it's like it's more common for people to be allergic to it than to not.
yeah.
But yeah.
But no, but like what I'm saying is like it totally backs up your point that like when you're talking about an allergic reaction, like people
Hmm.
are more sensitive than others to
Yeah.
whatever that chemical component
Yeah.
is that like triggers your
Right. Like
reaction.
even like something, like a peanut allergy, which we know to be super deathly, is
Yeah.
like could kill some people. To other people, their tongue might feel fuzzy.
Right,
Like it's
exactly.
just such
Yep.
a range that it's like you really never know. So,
Yeah.
um,
I know someone who's allergic to pineapple and just eats it for the love of the game because like their reaction is just like their lips get like a little like
mhm.
like puffy and
Yeah.
like not like a full anaphylactic shock, but just they're just like, yeah, I'm not willing to give it up.
Not yet.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
So Jason, we talk about like his scientific approach. It was noted that he tested the box for
mhm.
mercury, for mold, and other toxins, looking for like rational explanations to
Mhm.
like essentially like slowly being poisoned.
Yeah, and I'm assuming like, with the mold probably some sort of like psychedelic effect,
Right,
maybe.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
that
was
was
it like is it like
occurring.
messing with your dreams and
Right.
things like that because of like constant exposure?
Yeah.
Yeah, but nothing came back.
No.
Nothing came back positive.
No, nothing came back. Eventually he ended up moving the box into a basement of a rental property that he owned because he wanted to like get it out of his house.
With tenants or without?
I don't know if there was tenants there or not. I'm assuming probably yes, but
Jason.
so after he does this, he comes home and he wants to take a bath because he's like, I want to cleanse. I want to get, I just got this box out of the house. I want to get it off me. I want to forget about it,
Okay.
like be done. So he's like, I'm going to take a bath. While he's in the bath, he's coughing up this like thick, gross, like mucusy substance, and he can't stop like coughing it up.
That is not
Yeah.
great.
Right. So he doesn't know what's going on.
Still a skeptic, Jason?
He's kind of like leaning the fence at this point.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he starts talking to like Wiccans, paranormal experts.
Sure. Talking
um,
about his experience.
Right, even rabbis, because he knows the history of the box. Supposedly, the Dybbuk box came from this Jewish woman, that survived the Holocaust. So
That's interesting because like there's no mention of it in the story as to
yeah.
like being a Dybbuk box.
I don't know that necessarily like he knows it's like Dybbuk right away, but I believe Kevin like got the history like this woman survived the Holocaust. So
just like on a
right, so
just
I
exploring
think
all avenues like
right,
went to her.
he's not going to go to like a Protestant or like a Catholic priest or something because he knows that this isn't from that
I
religion.
disagree.
Possibly.
I would be going anywhere and everywhere.
Anywhere and everywhere.
Yeah,
But yeah, so he goes to, a rabbi, and like you said, he even tests the box for like biohazards and mercury, and
Yep.
nothing he could come up with could explain like the illness that he was having. But he was told that he should put the box inside of another container that was lined with gold, and this would neutralize the spirit.
That's an expensive thing to do.
I know. I mean, I guess if it's like gold, like flake or,
Like
it
gold
might not
foil.
be. Yeah,
Yeah.
gold foil. That's what I was thinking of. Might not be too bad. So he does this and he claims that it starts to work and that his illness starts to fade. And eventually he decides that he's going to bury the box. And when he does this, he puts it inside of like a military grade shock-proof container.
Whoa.
Yeah, and buries it.
What are Jason's resources?
And he works at the museum.
He's got a gold-lined box and a military container. Yeah.
So
Yeah. I don't think he's like an adventurer, or what was Indy was an archaeologist.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Jason is like a research scientist for a museum. He's not Indiana Jones at all. He wishes he was Indiana Jones.
Exactly.
That's crazy. Something I found interesting about like when I was looking at Jason's story, you know, in this, I kind of like stumbled on this question, like, are skeptics turned believer more what's the word I'm looking for? Like, is it like a more compelling argument than a believer being a believer? Like, if you speak to somebody who you know believes in the paranormal, who you know accepts these things as just truths in their world, to say that they're having like an experience like this, like, oh yeah, we like, somebody like tells you like a story of like growing up in their house, and they're like, oh yeah, like we, like my mom was like super into like spirits and ghosts, and we all kind of believe in this, and like, yeah, there was like ghosts in our house when we were growing up and stuff. I don't know, the skeptic in me, and not the skeptic to believe like things like that happen. You know how I am, like when I'm like, yeah, everybody you meet has their experience, and like, it's like, what are the odds that all of those are true? I just think like from a statistical analysis, like it's probably not.
Yeah.
A lot of people like embellishing or stretching the truth. But I feel like I genuinely feel like when you have someone that's like, I do not believe in this or subscribe to it, and then they have a experience that is so compelling that they're like, no, something weird happened. I'm like, I'll believe that all day long.
Yeah, for sure. Because I almost feel like skeptics are more prone to have the experiences than people that are open to it. Because people that are open to it and believe, like, the spirits don't need to prove anything to you.
Sure.
Yeah. And
if that's the motive, is like proving their existence.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good thought.
Yeah. Jason does end up writing a book about his experiences with the box, and that's called the Dybbuk Box.
Yeah, creative name.
Yeah, exactly. You can purchase it on Amazon. I saw it there today.
Ooh.
But Jason wasn't content with simply documenting strange experiences. He wanted to know where this cabinet came from and whether any part of Kevin's story could actually be verified. His research eventually led him to someone who claimed to know the box's true history, and it was a history darker than he had even expected.
Oh, so he was chasing down the facts.
Right. He's got to do all the research, so he's going to come at it from all angles.
Yeah.
Through this process, Jason does get in contact with Kevin and Yosef, and they all are able to get in contact with one of the original owners of the box.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, her cousin, Sophie. So Sophie tells them that the original owner's name was Havela, and she was a Holocaust survivor who escaped a concentration camp and fled to Spain.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and after she escaped, she used a makeshift Ouija board to contact what she thought to be or wanted to be a good spirit that she thought would help defeat the Nazis.
Excuse me?
Yeah. So she was trying to contact and conjure a spirit that would go and help defeat the Nazis. I mean, at a certain point, I guess it's,
I guess try anything.
Exactly. Try anything,
Except don't play with Ouija boards or homemade spirit boards.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, just general rule of thumb. It's just like it's kind of like a safety thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's what she did. And in doing this, she accidentally contacted an evil spirit that came through, and she supposedly used the box to contain it. So she had, purchased the box in Spain, and use that to
And
contain the spirit.
here is where our containment happens. Got it.
Correct.
I also do want to go on record immediately before you saying she conjured an evil spirit. Safety warning, don't play with Ouija boards.
Right.
Point in case.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. So Sophie told Jason and Kevin and Yosef that she kept the spirit box as long as she had it, but she was unable to contain the spirit.
Okay.
So like she kept the spirit box with the spirit in it, and she tried her best to like contain the actual spirit, but it was still, wreaking havoc essentially.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And this was when it was in the box?
Supposedly when it was supposed to be in the box.
Okay.
So she believed that this evil spirit was responsible for all bad things happening in the world, even such as like the Korean War and like the Vietnam War. So like worldwide reaching. She believed the spirit was
Yeah,
doing
that's a
all
leap
of these
for me.
things. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I
think so, too.
definitely believe like the shared experience story, and like we'll get into like our positions and everything like that. I think thinking that like this specific spirit is like causing war and widespread chaos across like the entire world. I think that's probably a stretch.
Yeah. This is kind of where like I have a theory here.
Okay.
So my theory, after reading that she was kind of using like a makeshift Ouija board to like contact a spirit. So who's to say that this like spirit, like who's to say that that was like a Dybbuk? Like what if the spirit she was contacting was actually a demon pretending to be a Dybbuk because that's familiar to her because she is like of the Jewish faith and she would believe in that. So who's to say that it didn't like trick her into thinking that it was a Dybbuk, and that's how it was able to like gain notoriety and attention from her and be welcomed in. And essentially she's saying like, here attached to this box, and we all know that's kind of what like a demon wants, is something to like possess.
Yeah.
And we all know that they like to trick people and, to maybe something that's familiar to them. So who's to say that it actually was a Dybbuk in the first place? And maybe it is actually like a demon that she, kind of like Annabelle, invited in and told to attach to this box.
Yeah. So you're saying like her experience on the spirit board that she created likely pulled a demon through that essentially, in like almost like a trickster sense, like it posed as a Dybbuk because it was like at least some layer of like cultural comfort to her, and then she
essentially tricked her into welcoming it into the world.
Yeah, but then she sealed it to the box, and this Dybbuk box truly would have a demon in it.
Right.
Yeah.
That she calls a Dybbuk. That's the word that she knows for like a spirit that's come through, whether it be, essentially good or bad.
Yeah, I don't hate that, because I think a lot of like what we like understand as to like what a Dybbuk is doesn't necessarily fall in line with a lot of like the malevolent action that the box seems to take.
Yeah.
As it moves from place to place. I think the activity is a lot more demonic leaning than like a Dybbuk. Yeah. And there is like information out there that does say like it could be like a like the cling or to like adhere, that it's like necessary like a dark attachment, but like in all the research that I looked at, like that is primarily like a pop culture driven narrative. Like the origin, the true like Jewish and Kabbalistic like root of the Dybbuk legend does not specify it as like a malevolent entity or a demonic entity. It is just simply an entity that is left here because it has unfinished business. It attaches itself to a living soul in order to fulfill whatever you want to call it, whatever destiny it needs to be able to resolve and move on. There's not really a lot of legend that says like, oh yeah, this is like a malevolent attachment. The activity that we're seeing from the box seems a lot more demonic by nature. So I don't hate that theory. I like that. And what do we know about like demon communication? Spirit boards and Ouija boards are like, it's like a big, like they tell you, like you don't know who's coming through. Like you can't pick who you're contacting. You're just opening a portal.
And like the other thing, like I said, like the similar to Annabelle, it's like it was just kind of like placating off of their emotions and their, it's tricking them into thinking it's this child. And, let me in, let me stay with you. Like, I'm the Dybbuk. I'm the good spirit. I'm gonna help you defeat the Nazis. Like I'm gonna free your people. Who's to say that didn't happen?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's a good theory.
Yeah. So whether you believe that the box is genuinely haunted or think it's one of the greatest paranormal stories ever told, one thing I think is undeniable, that the box had become famous at this point. And eventually there was one person almost guaranteed to want it in his collection.
We all know who this is.
Do we all know who this is?
This is the prince of primetime paranormal television. This is none other than my biological father, Zach Bagans. Yeah.
BDZ.
Big Daddy Zach.
Yeah.
Yeah, we love Zach Bagans.
Yeah. So in 2017, Zach Bagans officially bought the box from Jason, allegedly for $10,000.
Yeah, I'm telling you, this box is putting money in pockets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Whether it's real or not.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Everyone's turning a profit.
Everyone
off this
has turned a
thing,
profit.
right?
Now, curious, did Jason lift it for sale? How did Zach come to know that because the last time we left the box, it was buried in like a military shockproof containment unit, like in Jason's backyard, I'm assuming.
Yeah. So I think he heard about it. I mean, Jason had wrote the book at this point as well.
Gotcha. So the information is out there.
Right. So it was out there.
And probably worth digging it up if you're able to get rid of it.
Right. Right. So Zach Bagans bought the box and he brought it to his museum, which is known as the Zach Bagans' Haunted Museum.
Yeah, and he has a huge, extensive collection of haunted artifacts. So this isn't like his first foray into buying something potentially very dangerous. I mean, we're talking about the guy who owns Robert the Doll.
Does he own Robert?
Yeah, Robert's at the Zach Bagans Museum.
I don't think he is. Peggy is.
I thought Robert was too.
I think Robert is still... I could be very wrong. I think Robert is still in Key West.
No, Robert the Doll is not a permanent resident at Zach Bagans' Haunted Museum. While Bagans famously borrowed the Key West icon for a special television feature in 2015, Robert the Doll permanently resides and is on display at the Fort East Martello Museum in Key West, Florida. Okay. So no, he has been on display at the Zach Bagans Museum as like a temporary installation, but is not, does not belong to Zach. But I 100% Peggy the Doll is at the Zach Bagans Museum, along with just like an absolute slew of haunted objects and artifacts.
He has a vast collection.
He's probably like encroaching on the size of like the Warren Museum.
Probably. I'm sure they have more objects, but I think he's probably the second in line for the most. Yeah,
it was interesting when, and not to spin off topic too much, but when I was like reading more about like Elton and Matt's exhibit that's going to be in Salem, like they were talking about like 1,500 to 2,000 items on display, and that is not the entirety of the collection.
No.
Which is insane.
Probably like a fraction of it.
Yeah, it's insane.
Which is wild. Yeah. So at first, Zach wouldn't let anyone see the box unless you were over 18 and you signed a waiver saying that he was not responsible for anything that happened while or after you were looking at the box.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they make that sound like super terrifying, but I think I would rather do that than be like unknowing,
Yeah.
like as to what
Hey, you're giving people a
might
choice.
happen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, hey, there's potential consequences to messing with this kind of
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Everybody's a consenting adult.
Yeah.
If you want to, test your luck, or if you are not like
Right.
a full believer, like, go ahead. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
No, I appreciate that.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
They're not, letting unwilling people just be exposed to this.
Totally. Yeah, give people the option.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, if this cabinet had already built such a terrifying reputation, its next chapter is going to introduce it to millions of people. And all this took was one museum visit and one of the biggest musicians in the world. So we've got another celeb sighting.
Celeb sighting.
Celeb sighting.
As we said, it is not a haunted story without a celeb sighting.
Exactly. And our celeb is not Zach Bagans.
No, it is not. Even though he is
contrary to what you may believe.
Yeah, absolutely. He's my celeb sighting. But I actually love this other individual as well. We got Post Malone.
We've got Post Malone.
Post Malone, absolutely.
Yeah. So in 2018, Post Malone goes and visits Zach's museum. And Zach asks if he wants to see the Dybbuk Box.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
say no.
I know.
Say no.
So they go in to see it.
I would say yes.
Yeah.
I know I would. I'd be like, I want to see it. I was like, I want to follow whatever the safety rules are. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to play with it, but
Right.
like, I do want to see it.
Right.
Yeah.
So this entire interaction was actually filmed, and it is like on the internet.
Yeah.
You can look it up.
Oh yeah.
So they go in to see the Dybbuk Box. Zach takes the glass partition away that's blocking the box.
Yep.
And he is like touching it for the first time. Like
Crazy
he's never
behavior.
actually touched it with bare hands before.
But this is our guy Zach.
Right. I mean,
Was he getting
you're
like?
with Post Malone? You gotta pull out all the stuff.
Was he getting like strangely agitated like he always does?
I mean, at the end of he kind of like jumps back, like almost like he like wasn't like.
I started to feel aggressive, and my hatred for Post Malone started to show through. It's always like every episode. He's like, we were watching it. Like he was like, Aaron. I forget where they were, but there was like a little like a convenience store kind of like setup, and like Aaron like took like a sleeve of crackers and started. I started getting irritated with Aaron at his theft of the crackers.
Yeah, Zach's always getting irritated.
Yeah. The spirits always rile him up.
I'm always getting irritated too, so it's fine. So Zach is touching the box.
Crazy.
So Post Malone, he starts to get like a little like weirded out. Like he's starting to have bad vibes. He's like, I feel like we shouldn't be doing this.
Sure.
So Zach is like touching the box, and he kind of goes to like touch his shoulder to kind of be like let's
maybe not
get out of here.
Yeah.
Like maybe not. Like I don't like this. Like let's go. So, but by this like secondhand touching of the box, he believes that he was cursed.
Oh.
Yeah. So I guess later that night, he allegedly saw a shadow figure.
Yuck.
Yeah. So, and after this, he was almost in a plane crash. So he was on a
Heard
plane.
about that.
Yeah, he was on a plane
the
to
landing
London.
gear failed.
Yeah, the tires like fell off the plane.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so luckily they were able to land the plane, but it could have been catastrophic.
Yeah.
3 days after this near plane crash incident, 3 armed robbers broke into his former house, and I guess they were specifically looking for him when they like confronted the new owners of the house, and they pistol whipped the new owners.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. And then shortly after,
though I would say, like, if you're breaking into Post Malone's house and what you think is Post Malone's house and he's not there. Like, of course
Right.
you're looking for
Or
him.
like,
Like,
what's the timing of the move? Like,
right.
was it recent? May they not have
Yeah.
known?
I saw
Yeah.
that same like tidbit of information like harped on is like they were looking for him and it's like, well, yeah, they were breaking into his
Right. They
house.
knew it was his
They didn't
house.
expect
Right.
Mickey Mouse.
Right.
Like,
They weren't just breaking into some random, like,
right. Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
house. Right.
They were profiling a celebrity thinking like, hey, we're going to make out with a bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And shortly after this incident with the robbers, he was in a bad car accident, but made it out with not even a scratch.
I'd say that's good luck more than anything.
I know, but it's just, near-death experience. But he believes he was cursed by the box.
Well, was it a near-death experience if you made it out without a scratch?
I don't know.
I would say probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah. So...
Well, all of this happened within a month after the incident with the box.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think this is where I stay a little bit more skeptical because like you know me, I believe in all of it.
Yeah.
But I do like to look at things like through a lens that says like let's put our skeptic hat on and look for other alternatives before we scream from the hilltops like everything is paranormal. And I think like first of all, how many times in your life have you heard like bad luck comes in waves?
Yeah, or in threes, or whatever.
So I think there's truth to that. I don't know what worldly or otherworldly phenomenon kind of leads things like that to happen, but it does seem like that is the way things happen. I think there is confirmation bias happening. Something potentially paranormal and strange happened to you. You were in secondhand contact with what could potentially be the most haunted cursed object in the world, and then bad things started happening in your life. I think it's very easy to like draw that as a conclusion because like in anyone's life, like when things aren't going well, you always want like why is this happening to me? And you're trying to draw a correlation. So I think it's very easy to be like, oh, it's I'm cursed by this haunted object. So I have a hard time believing that like the box is why these things happen to him. But I will say, I came across like a question while like looking into this is would all of these events seem connected if like he never mentioned a curse or anything like that? And in my head I'm like if no one mentioned that he was cursed and someone was like, did you hear about all this stuff that's happening to Post Malone? I'd be like, he might be cursed. Like, I think I would draw the conclusion myself, like not even knowing what happened with the box. But like, I don't know what happened to him, but he's got some bad juju going on. So, I do think like there is that, I don't know that I fully subscribe to the fact that like he picked up a curse through secondhand contact of a haunted object. But it is like the timeline is suspicious.
The timeline is suspicious for sure.
Yeah.
All these things that happened to him are things that like personally, like at least for like a celebrity, I don't think like maybe out of the norm. Like I mean
the plane
possible plane crash, yes. Someone trying to rob his house.
No,
really.
I don't think
like
so.
I think that's probably more common than you would like to think.
Especially
like,
if his address got exposed.
Right.
Like, you see all the stuff with like swatting people's houses now, like when their addresses get leaked.
But the timing for sure, suspicious. Like he said this all happened within a month after like the incident at the museum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a very questionable timeline.
For sure. But yeah, in 2018, I guess Zach attempted to open the box as part of like a live show, but was unable to do so.
Ooh,
and I don't know if
strange.
that's like, because it was like it physically couldn't open or if he like felt some type of way about it. But I'm almost like reading it as like he like physically like couldn't get it open.
Yeah, I wouldn't see Zach as one to be like
to like shy away from it because he got like weird about it. Right.
I feel like he would feel weird about it, and he'd be like, all the more reason to open it.
Well, that's what like Post Malone was saying. Like when they were there, he was like, like he thought it was like a great idea to like open the box and like touch it for the first
Yeah,
time. So
yeah,
it's like, and that couldn't even been like something, whatever it's like attached to the box, like influencing
right.
him to do
Oh,
so. Like you
anything
never
we know
know,
about
but
Zach is like
yeah.
he'll push the envelope in almost any like
Right. And
manner.
it's like, was it because, like Post Malone was there and he was feeling like let's do something crazy,
Right.
but who
I don't know.
knows? Um, but currently the box is still at the museum, but it is encased in a glass box that is surrounded by two circles of salt. One of them actually has like a disturbance in the ring of salt
Ooh,
that, yeah, like that wasn't there when it was originally put down.
interesting.
Yeah, and it's also surrounded by like dried sage.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they're protecting it as best they can.
Yeah. Yep.
Disturbance in the salt line is pretty crazy,
I
though.
know. And it is said that the doors of the box will open and close on their own.
Still.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With nowhere to go, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Very
I know.
interesting.
Yeah. But by this point, the Dybbuk Box had escaped the world of just paranormal forums and late night ghost stories. And it had become part of pop culture. Books were written. We know Jason wrote a book. TV specials followed. And even at one point, Hollywood came calling. There
Yeah.
was a movie made about the Dybbuk Box.
Yeah, by none other than the director of 3 of the best Spider-Man movies. Well,
Meh.
2 of the best Spider-Man movies. Yeah, Sam Raimi.
Yes.
Yeah. And also director of the cult classic Evil Dead,
Mm-hmm.
which is phenomenal.
Yeah, and he did like the 1980s version and like the current like modern version. Like there was one
I'll never get
couple
over
years
the scene
ago.
in the
Yeah.
modern version. Yeah.
But there's another one coming out soon as well.
Yeah. And then his production company, and he was a producer on things like Drag Me to Hell, The Grudge. So he's very involved in like the world of like
Horror.
Yeah, but not just like very famous horror movies. Like he's successful in the world of horror.
Yep. So he created the film based off of Jason's book.
Yeah, Sam Raimi directs this movie. Jeffrey D. Morgan stars in it, none other than Negan himself.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess they had some weird experiences while filming. Again, we have reports of lights exploding. And after
interesting, very same exact thing that Kevin experienced, in the basement of a shop.
And supposedly after filming was done, like the props from the film were stored in a warehouse, but apparently there was a fire in this prop warehouse where all the items from the film were destroyed.
Whoa.
Yeah, so people involved with the production started wondering if the film itself had become cursed because it was about the Dybbuk Box.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. That's a very interesting theory.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't kind of the same thing with like the Annabelle movie with like the Annabelle doll kind of having some weird things happen with that.
Yeah.
Kind of with the thought of just basically like projecting this evil like on something else, or you're just like, you're putting the idea out there. You're like you're giving it fame
like
and notoriety, right?
Mimicking or recreating,
right?
A famous paranormal haunting. Does the haunt eventually like start to seep in?
Right. Yeah. So the film was definitely inspired by the Dybbuk Box, but not necessarily like a direct retelling of Kevin or Jason's story.
Okay.
Which he was inspired by. But that kind of like brings us to the fact versus legend of it all. One thing we talk about is that traditional Jewish folklore almost never describes Dybbuks as living inside objects, kind of as we talked about before.
I think that's like a big one for me is that, there is no history of that. This would kind of be like the first. Well, and I do like your theory that like maybe we aren't dealing with a Dybbuk, and demons are known to possess inanimate objects.
Yeah.
So, is it like I really like that theory that says, um, uh, what was her name?
Havela.
Havela. Did Havela bring through a demon through her spirit board when she was trying to contact Dybbuk, and now is dealing with like the cursed box that has like a demon possessing it. Yeah, I honestly I think that's a great theory because of like just like what we see happening throughout like the case unfolding.
Yeah. Yeah. But then we have to mention, in 2021, Kevin Mannis supposedly admitted in an article that he was a writer and that he made up the story of the Dybbuk Box.
Yeah, I do want to clarify. So most of the reports that I've seen is not that he made the story up. It's that like he heavily embellished parts
like
of it for color.
The story.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. The same as you would if you were writing a movie about
he took
Dybbuk Box.
he took what was happening and he embellished it to be a horror story.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So that would beg the question, like if he supposedly made up this story, then why would people who he never met continue to report the same dreams, smells, shadow figures? Basically, is that evidence of something paranormal, or is that proof that a story can be contagious or kind of like a placebo effect? Per se.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know that it can on that wide of a scale. So like I thought a lot about that, like when we saw that like Kevin embellished a lot of his claims, that the only way for people to all have been having that same experience would have just been like large scale confirmation bias, or what I was mentioning before, that like nocebo effect. But I don't know how, like, essentially you're looking at like a game of telephone, because like the box keeps getting moved from person to person, and especially when it leaves Kevin's possession, it stops being direct family members that he might have some kind of like influence over or direct tie to, and it starts going like, it goes from Kevin to Yosef to Jason to Zach, and it's like everybody's reporting the same exact type of activity, which leads me to believe like, yeah, maybe Kevin did embellish a lot of his story for color, but the baseline facts of people reporting the same type of experiences is like a very real thing. And especially like Jason tracked that information down. Like he went like through that history and kind of proved that like people were reporting this stuff happening.
Right. And it's like you could say with Yosef, I guess, that, because he would have had the full story up front, like maybe that's some kind of like shared delusion or something that's happening, but like we have no evidence that when, other than that, like Yosef was like blogging his whole experience, like, but we don't know that he was saying that he knew any of these things beforehand.
Right.
So it's like we don't know what information Jason knew or not. Like he might not have known anything from Kevin's story. He might have just been seeing like Jason's experiences, which I guess could also, go into like the shared delusion, but it seems like a lot for someone to say, like a lot of the same things. I think for some kind of like shared thing to be happening, I think the dreams is, like we kind of talked about before, that's like the most likely thing that could be transferred from person to person just subconsciously.
But I think when you start getting like so far detached from the original source and it's still happening, it's like the likelihood that that information would hold its consistency, especially when it's just really being passed orally, is, I think it's slim.
Right. Or the fact that, like that you would believe it as fact. Like,
well, I don't think you have to believe it for your subconscious mind to make you experience it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think those are two totally uncorrelated, like non-correlated things. I think like somebody can plant a seed and consciously you could be like, that's nonsense, and then you could dream about it. So I think that's still possible. But I think like, again, like you're looking at like a game of telephone that's happening over like the span of a few years, I think is really like the time frame, at least from Kevin to Jason. because Yosef has it for at least 8 months. Sounds like Kevin was on it for a while because he couldn't get rid of it. So we have a handful of years here between people getting it, and everybody that brings it into their life is experiencing the same type of things. I think the likelihood of that information being passed and then sat, because like you think about it, like Kevin tells Yosef like essentially what's happening, because I'm sure there was some communication beyond the original eBay posting when they actually exchanged,
right, like when he won the bid or whatever, and
and like went and
maybe he
picked
was
it up
like,
or like
hey,
whatever. Yeah, exactly.
want to make sure you're for real about this,
Yeah,
because
I'm sure they talked about it. So it's like, you get that information for Kevin, and then you sit on it for 8 months. Now you're probably thinking about it a lot because weird things are starting to happen to you. But just it's like, okay, and then you verbally pass that information over, well, through your blog and through whatever conversation you have with Jason. But then Jason starts experiencing the same thing too. I think the consistency would be shocking, in almost any event. So I think it's hard to say like it's like a group delusion or simply a confirmation bias. Do I think maybe there's potential that those thoughts being planted into your subconscious aren't somehow manifesting or taking effect? Like, I think there's probably a little bit of both, but I think there's too much information on the Dybbuk box and the way it affects the people that come into ownership of it to write it off as like a hoax or just a delusion.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I mean, after everything that we've covered tonight, where does that leave us? And where does that leave you as the viewers? Is the Dybbuk box genuinely one of the world's most haunted objects? Or is it just a modern legend fueled by expectation and suggestion?
Ooh, yeah. I mean, I kind of just gave my thoughts, but I'm definitely I'm a believer. I think I believe it enough that I wouldn't play around with it.
Right. Somewhere in between is okay. And I kind of think that's where we fall in this story.
Yeah, I think like obviously there was an admission that a lot of it was embellished. So like, I take that at face value. But the stories, like the accuracies in the shared stories, I think are too coincidental to be coincidence.
Yeah, and the other thing that I was thinking about too is, with Kevin saying that he like fabricated the story and like whatever, it's like we have to think about this is like 2003. If someone said like nowadays that they did that, like I would totally believe it, because like you're trying to go viral or like whatever online. Like this is 2003. Like no one's going viral for anything. Like
I don't know.
I don't
check those MySpace pages
at this point. But like, what would Kevin think that like would come of him like putting the story on eBay of all places? Like did he think that there would be some viral component where it would become one of the quote unquote most haunted objects in the world? I just don't necessarily know that that would be the case, as in like a motivation to make this up, to put it out in the world.
I don't think so. Like I don't think that would have ever crossed his mind.
That's kind of like the point that I was making. Like, is nowadays someone makes up a crazy story and posts it online, and you're just kind of like, are you making that up to get views or whatever?
Does eBay count as posting it online?
Not not really. So it's kind of like.
I think I get where you're going. Yeah, I think I get where you're going. I never really thought too much into like his listing as like anything more than just like a desperate attempt to rid himself
get rid of the object. Right.
Yeah, very interesting. I mean, it's a great story. I think it's one of the better laid out paths from origin to conclusion. Well, I wouldn't say conclusion. I would just say origin to modern day existence of like a cursed object. I think we have like a good amount of information on like the history and like the lineage of the Dybbuk box. It's a lot different than what I would have thought originally. I
Yeah.
was one of the people that was completely wrong, like in my belief, because my belief was primarily stemmed from pop culture. Can't
Same.
tell you how many Dybbuk Box openings I've watched on YouTube where, like, I
Yeah.
now personally believe that they're all kind of like a load of BS. Like, I think most of those are like, um, I think they may be people that think they have something trapped in
Mm-hmm.
there, but like I think like the terminology is all wrong.
Correct. I think the terminology is all wrong for sure. Like, I don't doubt that there's some people that are trying to do like what they're claiming to do, like with the modern day Dybbuk box, because
Like
that's like
sealing a demon
essentially
in a
right. I mean, that's essentially what they're doing with Annabelle, like in the case, is that they're
right.
sealing her in there to protect the world from that evil. And I don't doubt that there's people that maybe are experiencing some kind of like
Well,
demonic activity that think they're sealing it in a box.
yeah, well, I'll play devil's advocate to that
Yeah.
though. They're not necessarily creating a Dybbuk box with Annabelle. They're creating a containment chamber for Annabelle because the idea of the Dybbuk box is that you've exorcised the spirit and you've then contained it in a vessel. They have not exorcised the spirit
Right.
from the Annabelle doll. They're just containing the Annabelle doll.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, I think the idea of the Dybbuk box is that you've exorcised the spirit from my
Yeah.
understanding, it would essentially be like I think it's very Ghostbusters if we're like talking about it.
Yes, and
Like
done like
you
via a
would
ritual.
yeah, you would
Hmm.
exorcise the demon or the
Hmm.
Dybbuk from the individual and then to make sure that it didn't have the ability to cling to someone else, you would contain it in a physical
Right.
object. Like I think that's the idea.
Yeah.
But it's just like there is no if you trace back the information, there is no history of that happening.
Yeah. Right. And it seems kind of like by the origin of like the original Dybbuk box and like the legend of like the eBay listing, and it almost just seems like people are kind of trying to just like replicate that by making these boxes that they say are Dybbuk boxes and selling them online.
Yeah.
So it's like you really just don't know,
Well,
like,
but the eBay listing didn't have anything to do with the trapping of a spirit. Like I don't know where the because like the idea that the spirit was trapped in the box would have happened with forgive
mhm,
me, I keep forgetting her
Havela.
Havela would have happened with Havela way before we got any kind of history of the box itself. Not until Jason
Yeah.
traced back like the history of it. So I don't know where, and I truly like I don't think we have the answer. I don't know where the misconception
Right.
comes that that is what a Dybbuk box
Yeah.
traditionally is, or that the Dybbuk is some like demonic esque malevolent spirit. But
Hmm.
like if you look down like the history of what a Dybbuk is, there is no malevolent claim. And if
Right.
you look down the history of exorcised spirits being concealed in inanimate objects, like there's also no real history of
Yeah.
that. So it's almost like very fascinating
Hmm.
that we have this cursed object, however it ended up actually cursed. Like if the history is correct that Havela was able to like seal the spirit
Hmm.
into a box when she realized that she might have been playing with something that was like outside of the realm of what she originally
Yeah.
attempted to conjure. Um, and I think a lot of people in the world of pop culture have replicated that, but we see far less people trying to contain something online. What we see online all the time is I
People releasing
I got my
it.
hands on a Dybbuk, but like they're buying them off the dark web, they're buying them offline,
Right.
and it's like I'm telling you, just like my skeptical, pessimistic brain says, like there's some dude with a big old block of wax
Hmm.
and a bunch of weird old wooden boxes, and they are just making Dybbuk
Yeah.
boxes,
Yeah.
like essentially show pieces, and then putting them out into the world.
Yeah.
Um,
And I mean, from what we know, like about Dybbuk boxes, what we see from like a lot of paranormal investigators, it almost just like doesn't line up that you would want to open these Dybbuk boxes, because it's like, would you want to open the Annabelle box? No. Why do you want to open this Dybbuk box that supposedly has this evil spirit
oh,
trapped
and
inside it? I know, but
That's
it's
the
like
that's
you're
the
not gonna
that's
you're
the
not gonna release
exclusive.
Annabelle for the content, or are
No,
you?
you're 100% incorrect. They are not allowing the people that would do that to get their hands anywhere near Annabelle. But you're telling
Yeah.
me that there's not some, just like, because like you look at like the Dybbuk box openings, they're not all paranormal channels.
Yeah.
Like it was essentially like a trend for a
Yeah.
little while.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like you're telling me somebody that wants to be internet famous wouldn't just, if
Yeah.
they could get their hands on Annabelle, open it up, or a non-believer that thought they could
That's
just use it
very
as.
true.
No, I 100% think like it doesn't have anything to do with like the consequences or the thought. It's likely people getting their hands on them and saying like, do it for the views,
Yeah.
do it for the vine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. We kind of went off on a tangent at the end there, but I think we covered some interesting stuff. But tell us what you think. What are your thoughts on the origin of potentially the most haunted object in the world? I think it's a fascinating story. I definitely think that I think there's embellished great story in there, and then I think there's also some really hard to explain events that
Absolutely.
definitely lead me to believe, like you said, somewhere in the middle. Like I definitely think this is a haunted object. I definitely think it's a cursed object. I just think that some of that story could be, potentially just a great story. But tell us what you think. Put it down in the comments. If you're on Spotify, leave a review on the show. It helps immensely. It really helps the show get found. So we would really appreciate it. And throw us a like on YouTube if you're on there. Let us know in the comments what you think about the story. Let us know your opinions. Tell us what you want to hear us talk about. We would love suggestions. But for tonight, I think that's all we have. So the next thing to do is follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Spotify, and YouTube at the Séance Parlor Pod.
Have you had a paranormal experience or a creepy encounter of your own? We want to know.
So go ahead and take that information and send it on over to the seanceparlorpod@gmail.com.
And we may even feature one of your stories in a future episode.
That's all for tonight, folks. The parlor is closed. We'll see you next time.